Armored Core Master of Arena. This game became one of my memorable PS1 games that I dearly so enjoyed back then, due to its unique sense of gameplay. Now, during the PS1 era, there were three kinds of humanoid mechs, or mechanoids, that are known in the past. Japan's well-known and loved Gundam series, the ever-slow but heavy amount of weapons to slap on, Mech Warriors, and Armored Core, the best of the best when it comes to the customization of mechs. Armored Core stands out better when it comes to the gameplay. The sheer amount of customization that the series offers what stands out above all the rest, due to its massive overhaul of parts that can be assembled by the player's choice. This is K1PM, and today I'd be reviewing a PS1 game called Armored Core Master of Arena.
System engaged.
The game was developed by From Software Inc. And yes, they are the same ones who developed these titles you might know. The setting of the game is based on an apocalyptic era where different corporations runs the society, and there's a group called Raven's Nest who hosts an arena for armored cores to fight on and offering contractual works for mercenaries, such as defending a certain objective, raiding a certain place, defeating armored cores, assassination jobs, etc. I could still say the same thing as I end up replaying the game, earning credits from mercenary work and climbing up my way to take revenge on this guy that turns out to be an advanced combat AI instead of a human being. That's the main plot of the game, basically. I mean, the story isn't that bad, I guess, on paper. Perhaps the story wasn't just delivered properly, that's all. Now, what sets this apart from the other games is how the assembling of equipment works. There are a ton of parts that the players could mess around with to create an ideal armored core or your very own mech. Whether the player wants to focus over speed while sacrificing weight limit and armor points or HP, or just go on full tank mode with a bulky defense and a heavy amounts of weaponry attached to it. Is that booster you have really drains your energy that much? Well, you could just slap in a different booster that goes on a bit slower but have more efficiency towards energy consumption. If that machine gun you have right now kind of feels a bit weak, then just replace it with some heavier weaponry, different set of radars, arm parts, missiles, etc. And the list just goes on. You could customize your own set of colors, patterns for your AC unit, or even create your very own emblem. Back then, I was shocked on the amount of details that I have to learn in order to play this game. Little old me couldn't understand this game back then. I had to get some help from my brothers on how to make my very own awesome and efficient armored core back then. There are certain missions where efficiency of ammo supplies is a must, making machine guns or high-capacity ammo weapons a wise choice to have within most missions. Since some of the stages contains a lot of enemies that would end up wasting your ammos instead. By the time you're gonna reach in the end, you might don't have enough ammo to finish them off. And yes, some of you might think that perhaps a laser blade kind of sidearm would help save enough ammo. It will, yes, but only to those slower ones. The more you can stock up on ammos on some certain missions, the better the chances you might accomplish the mission. Machine guns would probably gonna be your best friend. Most of the time, mobility is the preferred option rather than heavy sets, since some missions would kinda require you to maintain your health just enough to fight on against an AC unit at the end. When you're gonna do some missions within the game, there's always a summary of your earnings and the expenses you use up each time you finish or fail a mission, the amount of ammos used, and the damage my armored core unit takes sums up all the total amount of what I end up earning in the end, giving out a sense of urgency towards my actions, carefully not letting my armored core get hit that much, as well as to lessen the amount of ammos I might end up wasting it. That feeling of wanting to create something not just purely for the looks, but also a mech that's also efficient in battle. This is the main reason why I end up loving the game, to the point I end up buying their next series on the PS2 back then. Arena matches is also a thing that you could do within a game aside from the missions, fighting out against different opponents within different categories. Some opponents can be really challenging when dealing with them. Since the AI enemy is quite tough to deal with, most of them are really annoying. except for those ones who are on caterpillar legs or tank legs, since they are too slow to the point I can easily pick them off with a powerful weapon. The real challenge lies on the fast ones, considering the controls within the game are a bit clunky or hard to maneuver. Hey, to be fair though, the controls in Ape Escape series and those tank controls that some of the games has back then are easier, but this one is just a pain even if you try to get used to it. Though despite of it within the arena, they have but one only weakness. This parking lot stage is what messes up the AI should act or move. For some reason, they would stick out with the same strategy even if I were to pick a unfair arena stage for them. I exploited this a lot when I was a kid just to beat them. Yeah, I was basically cheesing them. The same goes on the Armored Core 3 on the PS2 back then. Now the stages within the arena and missions isn't that bad. It's alright. Nothing that memorable I could say, considering it usually comprises a huge place to battle in. The sound quality on the other hand are quite good, giving it a match on how it plays throughout. But the music within the game are just alright. There are a lot of more catchier soundtracks I've listened within the PS1 games back then. Although there are some notably good ones within the game, like the ones you've been listening on the background right now. Those were the notable ones I remembered about it. If you're that curious on the soundtracks within the game, I recommend you checking out the link below. There's one bug in particular within the game that was a huge deal breaker for me. As I tried replaying the whole game again, I got caught by this annoying bug where I can't even select the right arm weapon ever again. I tried resetting the game, then loading it, and it's still there. Sheesh. Thanks to that, I can't even finish the whole game now. I end up having to watch other playthroughs of the game just to be sure of what I've been talking about. That's why I give this game a rating of 8 out of 10. The game is actually great during its time. What I see within the game is some sort of a experimental phase that the series has been going through. They clearly focus more on their time in building up the gameplay pretty good, to the point they kinda end up leaving some weak parts on the game. The excellent amount of customization made my dreams a reality, building my very own mechanoid or armored core from top to bottom during those times of its release. Not only does the game enable you to change weapons, but also almost every part imaginable within the game. For a PS1 title, this is an outstanding feature to have. But due to its clunky controls and without much of any instructions of how the game is played properly back then, some people back then find it troubling to play the game. And I'm one of them back then. I had my brother teaching me the whole thing first in order for me to understand the whole thing. While the AI within the game isn't exactly the best ones, you'll see some AI trapped in a loop. And yeah, I give them a bit of a high score since that kind of concept they made isn't always seen back then, despite how bad the other parts can be. If you plan on playing the game for nostalgia's sake, I highly suggest just try the newer versions ones instead. So, what do you think about the game review I made? Be sure to leave a comment down below about what you think. And if you really liked the video, a thumbs up would be really greatly appreciated. If you want to hear more game reviews about the games from the past, be sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell icon beside it for notifications. Be sure to look out for these titles I've been planning to work on. This is K1PM, and I bid you farewell.